Hello, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to do something a little different today. Picked up a bunch of Blu-rays, and we're going to talk about them. Alright, let's go. First one, not in any specific order, we're just going to check them out. Swordsman. Really awesome. It's kind of like if John Wick had a daughter. Lots of action, great fight choreography, everything about it super brutal, but also really great storytelling. Probably one of the best movies in this stack of movies. I'll say that. It was one of my favorites. I'd watch it again in a heartbeat, and I think you should check it out. Alright, we're going to bop over here. Hansan, Rising Dragon. This one is probably going to be, I'm not going to say it's my least favorite, but what I'm going to say is that it's methodically paced. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of deception and treachery, and there's tons of generals and ship battles, and the action and stuff like that is really interesting. It's good, but it's probably my least favorite of this pile. But yeah, if you're into naval battles, check it out. All right, we'll move on. All right, this one, terrible name, Alienoid. Not the biggest fan of the name, but the movie itself is actually really good. Basically, there's like a time traveler. He's looking to capture these prisoners, and they were keeping them in time inside people's minds. It's a really weird concept. But then there's a little bit of time traveling where he goes back and forth between like the present and the future and the past. You know, you're kind of going into like, let's say, once upon a time in China, and she goes back and has a gun and all that kind of stuff like that. You know, I'm trying to be spoiler free with a lot of these, just kind of give you the hype parts about it. Really good. Was kind of the movie I was expecting the least of, but enjoyed incredibly. Like, it was just a really solid movie, and I recommend it. You know, check out Alienoid, check out the trailers, you know, see for yourself. Okay, here we go. Now here, Crazy Samurai 400 versus 1. Now, Tak Sakaguchi is in one of my favorite films, Versus. Now, this movie I had probably the most hype for. Now, while I won't say it let me down, and the whole premise of it is it's one giant shot through the whole movie. It gets split up at one point and then goes into another ridiculously long action fight scene. And it's really good, but it does get a little repetitive. You know, without really spoiling anything, I will say, like, you know, it says 400, but it's probably like 40, and they just keep falling down and getting back up and running to their spot. And while it has its charm, like, it's definitely a movie with charm, I will say that there's something to be said for some good cuts here and there. Like, you have a long scene, but at some point, kind of dragging a little too long, and a good cut or a good set piece or establishing shot just to break up that monotony. But outside of that, it had heart, it had character, and I really liked it, but it was like one of those things where you just wanted it to be a little bit more, maybe in production value. But yeah, like overall it was really good, but not, you know, not where some of these other movies are, but you know, I'd still recommend it, and I love Tak. Alright, Blade of the 47 Ronin. If there was ever a film that felt like it was like the 90s, it has Mark Dacascos in it. It has a bunch of young, new action stars. It is actually very good. It's very well produced. It's very slick. It's very stylish. The use of color and effects is very well done. I had no expectations going into the Blade of the 47 Ronin, but I really liked it. You know, and it has a very, it has like the most cheesy, over-the-top, grimy, Mortal Kombat-esque villain you'll ever see. Like, you know, kind of like that Highlander 90s cheese. But yeah, really good, really fun action. Characters were good. It does play into some tropes, like, you know, where I guess the best way to put it is the street scamp is the one that's going to save the world kind of thing. It's kind of a worn out trope, but it is what it is. Tropes exist for a reason. And yeah, this was pretty good. Now here we go. The showstopper right here. The Witch Subversion. Chef's Kiss. I'm going to talk about both of these, The Witch, the other one, and Subversion, together. If this first movie and this second movie both prove that you could make an Akira movie and it could be good. Like, both of these movies are a love letter to Akira, and they're both excellent. This one leans a little bit more towards kind of horror. It takes place in a much more consolidated environment. And then the second film kind of blows the lid off that and just is so much wider and so much more scope. But both excellent. Like I can't get over how impressed I was with both of these films. And if you like Akira, if you like action thrillers, psychological stuff, kind of government experimentation and all that kind of, like, you know, it kind of covers it all, but it does it really well. It's probably, to combine, you know, putting the two together and the narrative, it's probably one of the best, I could say, new franchises, new series that I've come across in a very long time. And even the fact that it is clear, like, you know, it clearly would not exist without Akira's influence. I feel like it does its own thing, and it's strong. It's very strong in how it does it. But yeah, you know, that's going to do it for me. I 100% recommend The Witch Subversion and The Witch the other one. Seriously, run out and grab both of these. These two movies are great. A lot of the other ones are really good as well in the previous stack here. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for me. Yeah, man, go check out some of these movies, watch some trailers. But yeah, if you liked what you saw today, like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. If you like that I'm doing something a bit different here, movies, and, you know, it's not the normal art book and stuff. I'm going to be expanding a lot, and we're going to be looking at different things. Like, if you go back and look at my initial trailer, this is the kind of stuff that inspires. It's the kind of stuff that gets you hyped to create. And that's kind of the things I want to show. Like, when you sit down and look at some of these films, and if you're not getting excited and thinking like, oh man, like, I really like this idea, or I really like that idea, that's where a lot of the creative stuff comes from. It's not necessarily like, you know, when you look at, like, especially like with the Witch series, it's clear that it's taking its inspiration from Akira, but it's also doing something really interesting with that and kind of expanding on those ideas. And especially in live action, it's really well represented. But yeah, that's going to do it for me. We'll see you next time. Alrighty, bye-bye.